So the new Super Smash Bros. Game is out and everyone seems to be enjoying it, myself included. I'm not going to review the game at this point. You're either on board with Super Smash Bros. As this sort of celebration of Nintendo's legacy as the most prolific game company in the industry, or you're not. Either way, I don't have much to add to the conversation outside of my own experience with the series. Namely, how tedious I find it is to start a new one of these every few years. Wait, don't turn off the video just yet. Let me explain. Now, whenever a new Super Smash Bros. Game comes out, there's always hidden characters that need to be unlocked. The specifics vary between games, but in general, a not insignificant portion of the roster has to be unlocked by fulfilling certain conditions like playing for a certain amount of time, beat a certain mode using certain characters, playing a certain number of matches, etc. You also have to beat them once the challenger approaches, but we'll get to that later. I have never been a fan of this approach to unlocking characters, mostly due to a combination of volume of unlockable characters, and the fact that my time when it comes to gaming is already limited as is. You have no idea how bad my backlog is right now. So spending said limited time getting everyone is not what I would consider to be a good time. Now in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the method for unlocking new characters is more streamlined compared to previous entries in terms of the condition one has to fulfill, which, while appreciated, it's the only improvement that can be found with the game's approach to unlocking new fighters. The main issue this time around is quantity. You only start off with 8 characters out of its massive 74 character roster. Yes, it's meant to be a reference to the original Super Smash Bros. No, the intention does not make it any less obnoxious that you have to unlock roughly 90% of the playable characters. It's a great pitch in theory, showing how far Super Smash Bros. Has come in terms of the mini-series, both long-running and short-lived, have been represented over the years, while also how little progress has been made in terms of actual representation, but that's a subject for another video. But in practice, it is soul-crushingly dull spending hours playing with characters you don't want to use, just so you can place the ones you do, or in my case fail to practice playing like a professional, mainly since which characters are unlocked this time around seems to be a pure random, rather than going from the least most recent additions. And just so we're clear, the hours I spent doing this involves using an exploit that significantly cuts down on the amount of time one will need to spend between unlocking each character. I'll include a link in the description for anyone that's curious. Oh, and did I mention that if you don't unlock all the characters in the World of Light mode first, that you'll have to do the same thing over again? And that you only start off with one character in that mode? Yeah. It's also incredibly unfriendly to more casual players who might not even be aware of this process, and thus will be inevitably disappointed when it turns out that the character that Nintendo is advertising as playable isn't available from the very beginning to play as. Like, yeah, I've played every game in this series, I know that you have to clock in 20 hours in Melee in order to get Mewtwo, but Bob and Doug probably don't. They just saw that Solid Snake and Simon Belmont can punch Mario in the face, and that's all the incentive they needed. More importantly, while I didn't have much of a problem with getting all the characters unlocked, aside from the time sink of course, I recognize that there are people who are far worse than me who might struggle to get a character that they want to play as, especially since, and this is anecdotal, I could be completely wrong about this, the challengers this time around seem a lot more difficult to beat. And all of this is assuming that somebody didn't just pick up the game to bring it over and play a couple of rounds with their friends, that they had time to even try to unlock these characters on their own. To clarify, I'm not against unlockable characters in a fighting game, or any game for that matter. I absolutely understand why people like unlocking characters in these games, that sense of achievement and satisfaction of overcoming odds. But there has to be some sort of resolution to this conundrum that pleases everyone, like a cheat code that unlocks everyone, or perhaps someone that lets you play as whoever you want rather than playing 1,000 matches to get Mr. Game & Watch. Sorry, it's just... Melee was a pain to unlock everyone in it. Let me know what you think in the comments, because aside from that, I genuinely do not know what other compromise could be made aside from making less characters unlockable. Until next time, game on, my friends.